It's The Last Stand. And here is your host, Brian Custer.
That's right. It is The Last Stand, where we bring you the biggest names in the sport. And our guest right now is the top dog. When you talk about 122 pounds, he is the WBO, the WBC Unified World Champion. In fact, he is just the 8th Unified Champion at 122 pounds in that division's 45-year history. He's known as Cool Boy Steph. He's none other than Stephen Fulton Jr. Cool Boy Steph, welcome back to The Last Stand.
How you doing? And,
It's great.
I'm the first ever unified from Philadelphia at this weight class.
The first ever at this weight class. You're right about that. So how does it feel to be Philly's only unified super bantamweight world champion?
It feels great right now. You know, I'm still taking it all in, still rolling with the punches.
What did it feel like when Jimmy Lennon Jr. said, and the new unified world champion, Stephen Fulton Jr.? What went through your mind in that ring?
It felt good, and I just was like, it was like a relief because I knew it was a tough fight. And while you in there, you don't fully know how things are going when it's that tough of a fight. So all I remember was my coach telling me to pull them last 2 rounds out. And when they said in the new, I was just like, it was like a relief.
Now, I know we talked ad nauseum before the fight, and you felt like, hey, look, this fight is going to be easy for me because of his style, things of that nature. Was the fight with Brandon Figueroa, let's say, more difficult than you anticipated?
Yes, a little bit, just a tad bit. Yeah, just a tad bit. It was a little bit difficult than I expected to be.
Why?
I feel like that's on my behalf because I didn't fight the fight that I should have fought early ahead, leading into the danger zone with him.
And when you say that, what specifically? What do you feel like you didn't do?
I didn't use my legs a lot more than I should have. You know, more so of boxing and making it clean those early rounds. Now, I've won a lot of those early rounds clear, but it could have been cleaner.
What do you think then was the turning point?
I feel like the turning point was going in towards the later rounds. He started to slow down a little bit, and I've seen that, as well as me seeing him always open for that uppercut. I kept shooting those uppercuts, kept turning a little bit. Then I started to use my legs a lot more in those later rounds. I will always start off strong, and then he will try to steal the round by, out hustling me a little bit at the end. So I feel like the later rounds was the turning point.
When you go through a fight like that, grueling fight, I mean, just action-packed, just punches, and by both of you guys, what'd you learn about Stephen Fulton Jr. in that fight?
I learned that I need to listen to my corner more. And far as being in the things I said in the gym, I've always listened, but sometimes as a fighter, I still fight myself. So I learned that by just fighting this fight. I've also learned that I can always give more. I'm way better than that. I've shown this year, yet along with the 2 fight of the year candidates that I had with both fights, becoming world champion and then, becoming 2-time world champion and then unifying. I've learned that this year I was a dog. 2022, I'll be more so an all-around fighter for myself, more than just for the fans.
I think that's probably one of the things that a number of people love you for is that it seems like when you hear something like an opponent says, well, I'm the aggressive, I'm the big puncher, I love to throw body shots, he doesn't. You take that on as a challenge and you fight that fight. And I think some fans love that out of you. So it sounds like for me, we're like, I need to stop getting drawn into those kind of fights and fight my own style. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, I feel like I can mix it up. Like when it's time to fight that fight, then do it. But fight my fight more so often.
What was going through your mind, Stephen, when you were talking obviously after the fight, and Brandon Figueroa came to the mic and went on a rant and basically said this was a robbery?
You said what was going through my mind,
Yeah,
or
what
how
was
do I
going?
feel about that now?
Yeah, but both.
So at first, what it was going through my mind was, it ain't a robbery. It was a close fight. Like, anybody would see that it was a close fight. Like, if it would have went his way, I couldn't say, oh, they robbed him. It was a close fight. I would see why they gave the fight to him. And since when it went to my way, I understood why I've won that fight. Now, how I feel about it now is just, I mean, that was unsportsmanlike. Uh, Other than that, I understood the frustration because maybe I would have been mad too. I don't know. I wasn't in that situation to know. So I can say it was he was frustrated his first loss, in a way that he fought, he believed he won. Now I feel like after rewatching it, it was like it was an illusion that made the fans think that he won. The crowd was on his side when he just threw a lot of punches that I was blocking. So it was like, yet alone when you hear those things, is it kind of puts you in the, oh, he's winning this fight mode, and that in that sense, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, that wasn't like, I just it just was the fans at that point.
Hmm.
It was an
And
illusion. The
what
fans
did
the
you
fans made it.
what did you think though when he kept going on and saying I rocked him 4 or 5 times and I know he was hurt in this fight and I should have gotten credit for that.
I feel like in the midst of all of that, I wasn't hurt no 5 times. That's out. We can squash that. I wasn't hurt 5 times. Now you can say you landed a couple nice body shots. That it was like, oh, he felt it, but I wasn't hurt. If I was hurt, I would have showed hurtness. Not once have I shown that I was like I couldn't defend myself or really hurt. Once he started, saying those things, it was like, look at the difference between our faces. You saying you attack my body, I've attacked your head more times, and I've hit you clean more times than you have hit me, and it showed within his face. I don't have nothing on my face, nothing wrong. I'm not on an interview with glasses, anything. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, it'd be an illusion. It's an illusion. Everybody just, and mainly it's more so the Mexican fans, and I understand why they like those type of battles. Nobody, and then they don't want. Nobody wants to lose. So I understand. I'm not mad that everybody's saying this or robbery or this and the third. It's just, I'd be more so mad at myself for making it a close fight like that. For those words to even be said or put in the air, because I know that it was a clean victory. Others know that it was a clean victory, but when you have people that really don't know much about boxing just saying it's robbery or just going off what other people says, it's like, it kind of gets annoying.
Yeah. Did that since the fight has been over, did that kind of take away the joy and of enjoy? I mean, you're the unified champ. Did that kind of take away the joy when you keep, like you said, keep hearing the negative stuff or people saying, "Oh man, I thought Figueroa won that fight"? Did that kind of take away the joy of winning?
A tad bit. Nobody's gonna steal my joy. I'm always, I'm always learn how to love myself first and foremost, and that because that comes with it. But I feel like it gets to me here and there. It gets to me here and there. I'm human, it's
Yeah.
normal. I'm entitled to feel away just how everybody else is entitled to feel their way. And there's no hard feelings with anybody. But I want to fight. If he want to do it again, we can rematch it. While we still close to that weight, we ain't gotta wait that long. We can rematch it. And
And
I
that,
know I won, and I'm still offering a rematch. It's not the first time I said it, and I'm only offering a rematch, not the fact that y'all think I lost, but more so because I knew I should have made that more cleaner. So I'm gonna give it a clear victory this time.
that's
I'm
interesting.
gonna show them that we're not nowhere near even, and that's what I want to do.
That's interesting because he had talked about that he wanted to go up to 126. Listen, you both are under the PBC banner and Al Heyman. Is that something where you have to make the call to Al and say, "Hey, look, tell him let's do this all over again"?
I mean, I believe calls have already been made. I don't waste no time. Where if I want something, that's what I feel like I'm gonna say it, and that's what I want. I want to rematch him. And then once again, I won the fight. I'm going to rematch him on my terms because I feel like I made that fight rougher than what it needed to be. So that's why I'm rematching him.
You guys fought on the same night that George Kambosos took out Teofimo Lopez for all of his belts. Do you still believe you and Brandon Figueroa, they'll put on Fight of the Year?
Yes, I believe that. Another thing is like I gotta get one of them Fight of the Years because I'm in 2 candidates for them, back to back fights, undefeated fighters, world champions. So it's like, yeah, I believe I'm in that number 1 spot for that. But if it goes somebody else's way, I wouldn't even matter. It don't even matter. I still gotta do my job, continue to fight, continue to put on great performances, continue to give the fans good fights like we just had, but on my terms. Once again, on my terms, and I'll be cool. Like,
And what does that mean when you say on my terms?
meaning I'm gonna fight the fight that I want to fight, and then I'll give y'all a little treat for whatever y'all want to say. But first and foremost, Steven got to come first. I have to come first, and I understand that now.
You've talked about the rematch. If it doesn't happen, and Figueroa says I'm moved on, I'm moved on. Who's next? Who's next for Stephen Fulton Jr.?
I mean, most likely MJ or Daniel Roman or one of them. But hopefully, if it'll be MJ, so we can just get that out the way. But I still feel like that fight gonna be made.
And for those who don't know, when he says MJ, he's talking about Morajan Akhmadaliev because he's the only other guy who's got 2 belts in the division. So you're saying if it's up to you and there's no Figueroa rematch, then you want to fight Akhmadaliev for the undisputed title.
Number 1, yeah, or my number 1 that I gotta. But I did hear something like the WBC want to order a rematch between me and Brandon. So it's like, oh, y'all feel, a lot of people probably feel like I lost. All right, I got y'all. Let's rematch it.
Interesting. You had your father in the corner. Your father, of course, introduced you to boxing. First time he had ever been in your corner for a fight. What was that experience like?
It was good. More so, I feel like y'all had to ask him that. I'm gonna do my thing regardless of who in that corner. So I don't really focus that. I would be lying if I say that was my main focus. Or I can tell you how I really felt. I don't know how I really felt. I gotta sit back and think about that. But it was a great experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he was like in the dressing room with you, things of that nature. And that was, obviously it was kind of new for you. Was it different? Did you?
No, no different. No different.
I want you to kind of talk to people about, and I was thinking about this, Stephen, how your life has changed in just a year and a half, I think it is. And if you could explain to these people, because I want to say like a year and a half ago, I remember we had a conversation. You were telling me you were basically in the backseat of a car, almost in tears, because you had lost out on a title shot and had been kicked out of a hotel.
Yeah, a lot has changed. A lot has shaped me and made me the man I am today. It's been a great ride so far. And just thinking back at all those times, like you just said, it's like that is all a part of my journey and becoming a champ, not just a champion, but a better person. Like that was a part of my journey. So a lot has changed, a lot of new fans. As far as in house, like people I be around, I may so be by myself now, so that's changed. I have a new son, that's changed. I feel like I became more closer to God as well. Yeah, I started leaving things in the higher ups' hands and stop trying to fight everything and do everything on my own. I learned that as well.
It's pretty amazing because I don't think people realize that was when you had first had contracted COVID. It was fight week. You were going to fight for the title, and I mean, forget about isolation where a hotel says, no, you got to stay in the room and don't come out. They booted you out of there. Give us a story on that.
Yeah, when the test came back positive, all I got is a knock on the door, or a phone call, and like, y'all got to leave now. Like, you're like, we waiting? Ain't no waiting for nothing. Y'all got to go. and the people that was in the hallway just like, I'm sorry, man. Wow. But I had to leave. They ain't care about none of that.
Wow.
But I understood. I ain't take that personal. it was emotional more so for the opportunity, not how they treated me, but for my opportunity. I I don't care about certain things when I'm looking at a bigger picture. It wasn't about how they treated me or me being kicked out. It was more so about, damn, I'm about to lose this opportunity. The weak-minded person would have worried about them kicking them out. I'm losing out on a bigger opportunity here, and I felt like I lost out on it, but I didn't. So when that came back around, it was a blessing.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing, because that was just like 3 or so days before the actual fight. First time you basically fighting for the world title, that happens. That had to be, from a mental standpoint, you got to be so much stronger, considering the way all of that went down. How much longer will you stay at 122?
Till I get them other 2 belts, then that's it.
So it could be a year, could be whatever, but you won't move up until you become undisputed.
No, it's gonna be soon. it's gonna be soon. It's gonna be soon. I'm big too.
Yeah.
I'm still growing, and I don't want to just leave everything at 1 week class.
Got it. So it's conceivable by this time next year, Stephen Fulton Jr. could be at 126.
Yeah.
You and Boots Ennis, 2 of the guys repping Philly really hard, such good friends. How have you two helped each other, whether it's from training to camps, things that? How have you two helped one another to become great fighters?
I feel like we just competitive, and we do like friendly little competition without even saying it. We don't even have to say it. We'll see something. I see you did that. And then I go and do something. Then he'll probably go and do something. It'd be friendly competition. Plus, being in the gym with them, I learned a lot more. I'm older, but I'm never too old to learn. I learned a lot from being around them in that gym. So it's like we both take certain aspects from one another and use them in our own way.
Here's the interesting thing. We had Boots on, and he was just talking about, oh, man, I'm telling you, he's going to win this fight against Figueroa. I've seen him. I know what he's doing in the gym. I'm telling you, you're going to see such a different Stephen Fulton Jr. You can give us a perspective then on the opposite side about Boots, because we've seen him take out everybody they've placed in front of him. Obviously, people want to see him against the top guys. And they hear him, and he says, yeah, I'm ready for Terrence Crawford right now. Oh, I would take Terrence Crawford out. Oh, yeah, I'm ready for Errol Spence right now. Yeah, I did a Zoom thing with FaceTime with Errol Spence, and we kind of went back and forth, but he knew I was serious when I told him I'm coming to take his belts, and I'm taking, and people hear that, and they're like, yeah, right. But Boots, he needs to fight some better competition first. But Boots is adamant that he's ready to take them guys out. You've seen him in the gym. You know what he can do. You think he's ready for those guys?
I mean, first and foremost, when they say he got to fight better competition and see him going for the better competition, I mean, that's self-explanatory. Yeah, he ready for it. If he wasn't, he would. If he wasn't, the type of person he is, he wouldn't have said it. He wouldn't have said nothing like that. He would still work to the point where he need to work, and then he'll let it be known. All right, I'm ready. He been ready though. Yeah, he's ready. I've been in the gym with that man, and it's self-explanatory for his fights. The defense, he's young, so while he's young and dangerous, and he's saying like, give him those fights. Don't wait till it's too long. Give him them fights. He can do that. I believe in him. I know he gonna be world. We all know he's gonna be world champ, but it's only a matter of time.
That's fantastic.
It's a matter of time. But I feel like one of them should give them a shot on their way out or before they move up.
Yeah. And do you see him just as a world champion, unified at 147? Where do you see how high is the ceiling for that kid?
I say, you can't just give him world champion. That's like somebody just giving me world champion. You can't. And far as skill wise, his is above mine right now, because I still have to work on certain things. I got years that I need to get back as far as working from my lack of training. So when we put a cap on, it ain't no cap on Boots. I feel like he could take that Canelo spot. And no matter what, I'm gonna always be there. So that's how I look at it. I'm gonna always be around that too.
Love it. Cool boy, for everyone who comes on the last stand, we allow people to send questions through social media. Man, we got so many for you. So let's get right to them here. First one says from Lord on Twitter. He says, I would love to see you move up and fight Gary Russell Jr. Will you take that fight?
Like now or when I move up? If I'm being real about it, yeah, I'll take that fight. But I wouldn't just take it right away. I gotta let me get up, let me get my feet wet in 26. Let me, you know what I'm saying, exercise my rights for that WBO and see who I gotta face. And then yeah, after I get settled, yeah, I'm open to fight anybody at 126. But I gotta get settled first. I'm not about to just jump up and just be. I want to get settled first. I had a long road of tough fights. Now it's time for me to get settled and be strategic a little bit. But yes, I'll fight anybody.
Next one says, when do you want the monster? What move is needed to ask for that kind of fight?
I don't think it's about asking for a fight. He's at 118 and I'm at 22, about to move up soon. So it's all about him and his weight and if he can come up and people try to make the fight happen. It's not on my behalf.
For those who don't know, again, the monster, Naoya Inoue, pound for pound, considered one of the best. That would be a huge fight if he could move up and get to your level. This is kind of something that you talked about here. This one comes from Abraham. He says, Steven, your thoughts on the WBC and WBO coming together and naming Danny Roman as your mandatory. If that fight happens next, how soon would we see it? And would you like to stage it in Philly?
Oh yeah, we would see it. If that was supposed to happen, we probably would see it probably within the next 3 to 4 months, or something like that. If I'm being real about it, I'm not sure. But as far as it being in Philly, I would like for it to be in Philly, but I also would like for it to be in New York.
How about that? Okay, tell me why.
There's a lot going on in Philly, so I just want everybody to stay safe and be in New York.
Safety first, brother. Safety first. I love it.
Yeah, I got to protect my fans and all the fans first.
I love it. This one from Brother on Twitter. He says, where did you get that nickname, Cool Boy Steph? And again, are you looking to fight in Philly anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm looking to fight in Philly. I would love to fight back in Philly. I could probably be the reason to, bring some joy back to the city if I fight. So I think I can fight in Philly, yeah. But as far as the name, I feel like I named myself that when I was younger.
Really? How'd that come about?
Talking to females and being cool and dressing and, being a regular cool teenager. Just,
I love it. Cool boy stuff. That's interesting. Okay, I got it. Bishop from Twitter says, huge fan, super proud of your performance. Are you any plans for you going for Undisputed next year?
Yes. Thanks, and I appreciate that.
And you think that's a fight that can be made?
Yeah, I think it's a fight that can be made. Yeah. I don't see why not.
This one from Twitter, it says, Steven, who's the GOAT Philly rapper?
I got to give it to me.
Okay.
Or Beanie Siegel.
Okay. Any plans on one of them walking you out one day?
Probably, yeah. It don't be about me. It be about them. Like, they be having stuff going on. I don't know. It don't be about me.
Next one from Lou on Twitter. He says, would you be willing to move up to 126, face Navarrete or Gary Russell Jr.?
Like I said before, I'm open to fight. I just got to get settled when I get up there.
And it sounds like 126 towards the end of next 2022 is your new division.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good division for me. I feel like I'd be a lot stronger up there at that weight class instead of having to drop so much. I feel like I'd be stronger, a lot stronger at that weight class. I feel like I'd be more seasoned and more stern at that weight
Got
class.
it. By the way, if people come to Philly, they want to come to the restaurant. Talk to me about the restaurant, man. How's the crab restaurant?
It's good. It's about to reopen again. CBS Crabs. Y'all already know. Hit me up on the gram. I'll give you a drop the
I
location.
love it.
136 West 7th Street, Chester, PA. Y'all can come support. It's great. Good
I
eats.
love it. I love it. All right. All right, cool boy, Steph. You know the deal. It's time for the last segment of this show. We call it The Last Stand. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. Just give me the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready? All
Yep.
right. Best fighter out of Philly right now is?
Cool boy stuff.
In your opinion, the biggest super fight that can be made is Stephen Fulton Jr. versus whom?
Damn, I don't know. I don't know.
Super fight. I'm talking where you say, man, that's pay-per-view. I got to watch that.
I don't know. I don't know. I had to think about that one. I don't know.
Listen, everything that you have told me in the past has really come to fruition. You know that. So by this time next year, December of 2022, Stephen Fulton Jr. will be
Undisputed at 122, and most likely a newly crowned champion at 126.
Okay. Will you and Brandon Figueroa fight again?
Yup.
Last but not least, at what weight do you see yourself ending your career?
Probably 35, 40. 35, 40.
Okay. I like that in you. Well, he's cool boy Steph. He is the unified world champion at super bantamweight, Philly's only unified champion at that weight in their history. You continue to make records, break records, and do your thing, man. And I wish you nothing but the most success going forward. And look forward, to seeing your work on Showtime Championship Boxing for a long time.
Appreciate you. Thanks again.
Absolutely. That's what we do here on The Last Stand, folks. We bring you some of the biggest names in the sport, and in the super bantamweight division, the biggest name right now is the unified champ, Stephen Fulton Jr. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again next week.